I got a list of things here that have been happening in the world, in Bitcoin and in fiat. So we'll start with the Bitcoin stuff. Obviously, we just talked about here the biggest news of the day. We'll start with MicroStrategy. Bought 51,000 Bitcoin for 4.6 billion this morning. And now they hold 331,000 Bitcoin. So that's MicroStrategy. That's the starting point for today. Very big news. MicroStrategy share jumped. It's already up 5% today, $15 higher than it was at the start. But aside from that, there was a couple other announcements this morning. Semler Scientific was another one. Let me see how much they bought this morning quickly. Semler Scientific announced that they bought more Bitcoin. Let's see how much they bought. Semler Scientific reports Bitcoin and ATM activity raising 21.5 million, enabling the purchase of an additional 215 Bitcoin. The company now holds 1,273 Bitcoin with a Bitcoin yield of 37%. And keep in mind the Bitcoin yield is the sats per share increase. I'm guessing that's in a year since the start of the year. They've increased their sats per share by 37%. So we got MicroStrategy, we got Semler, we got Mara. What did Mara announce this morning? Mara is adopting the MicroStrategy playbook, planning to sell 700 million in convertible notes to primarily purchase Bitcoin and refinance existing convertible notes. So Mara is getting in on the action. Marathon Mining, planning to sell 700 million to buy Bitcoin in convertible notes. We also had a candidate for Poland in the election announced that if he wins, he's going to adopt the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve playbook, and Poland's going to be doing the same thing if he wins. What else happened? This is all in the last couple of days. Celidian Technology announced that it's going to put 60% of its reserves into Bitcoin. 60%. We had the Genius Group last week announced that it's going to put 90% of its reserves into Bitcoin. And we had the Thumbs Up, THUMZUP, announced this morning or yesterday that they're going to be buying $1 million worth of Bitcoin and adding it to their treasury. And we had a whole bunch of parties last week announced that oh shit. Let's not do that. That was a bad move. Announced that they're going to be that they're holding the ETF. Sorry, not that they're going to be, but they currently are. Let me see if I can find that list of all the companies. Goldman Sachs was the biggest one. They announced $700 million worth of Bitcoin ETF holdings. Where is this here? No. ETF filings. Here it is. Let me bring this up for you to see. So this is from last week. It says 13F disclosures just from today. Cantor Fitzgerald, that's Howard Lutnick Company, announced that they're holding Bitcoin ETFs. Citadel, Royal Bank of Canada. That's funny, Royal Bank of Canada, that you're not allowing your customers to buy Bitcoin, but you're holding Bitcoin ETFs. That sounds about right. Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, State of Wisconsin Investment Board, Bank of America, UBS, HSBC, and Macquarie Bank all announced that they're holding the Bitcoin ETFs last week. And there was one more. BlackRock had a huge announcement about their own holdings. So BlackRock, Larry Fink announced that they now have 92 million in their own Bitcoin ETF up from 5.5 million in quarter one. So 6 months ago or 7 months ago, BlackRock only had 5.5 million in Bitcoin in their own ETF. This is their own holdings, not their Bitcoin ETF holdings, but their own. And now they have 92 million in Bitcoin ETF. Wow. So that's the Bitcoin side of things. Based on that, do you think Bitcoin adoption is going up, down? Demand going up or down? Meanwhile in Clown World, in Fiat Land, we had a couple big milestones that happened over the weekend. The US Pentagon failed its 7th straight audit, losing $800 billion worth, 860, I think, billion dollars worth unaccounted for. So their 7th straight audit, they failed. Pentagon. Also, the US government hit the $36 trillion mark in debt. $36 trillion. That didn't take long. Seemed like it was just yesterday we hit 35 trillion. Probably was, honestly. That's what happens when you're in a debt spiral. And big news. The Argentina peso is now on par with sats. 1 sat equals $1 in Argentina. And if you think about that, if you think about what that means, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about there. So, I mean, just starting there, you can see everything that's happening in Bitcoin trending in the right direction. And then you see everything happening over in Fiat Land trending in the opposite direction. And that's not going to change. It's not like Bitcoin's going to start going the other way and Fiat start going to becoming more valuable, right? It's just going to spiral in the same directions that they're going, but it's going to start spiraling.